From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
The following program is distributed by NET, the National Educational Television Network.
Washington, D.C. Here, in the past few years, the Congress has enacted 18 far-ranging laws to advance education, from kindergarten through college. But the real meaning of this progress can't be seen in Washington. To see it, you must journey into the classrooms of America. From the White House, on a spring day not long ago, I began such a journey. It started in the East Room, at the first public showing of a film about a little boy whose life was transformed by Head Start.
Today is an important one for me because of the premiere we're going to see, but it's important also because it marks the beginning of a journey I am taking to some of the classrooms of this country. A journey that will take me during the next 3 days to West Virginia and Tennessee and North Carolina. The map shows that this area, Appalachia, lies deep in the heart of the nation. It is no less deep in the heart and the thoughts of the President. Our journey starts in this room this morning with one small boy. His name is Pancho, and he is a movie star. He has come all the way from California to be with us here. Pancho Mancera is 6 years old. You will see in this film, as the President and I have seen, that Pancho is more than a movie star. He is one of the thousands of children who, because of Head Start, are getting a fast start in school instead of being daily dulled by problems too big for a child to handle. Head Start is many things. It is a child looking for a chance to be somebody. It is his parents determined that he shall have that chance. It is a teacher and a teacher's aide, trained and caring, guiding the child's first steps on the road to knowledge. It is a doctor and a nurse, making sure his body is sturdy, and a social worker showing the parents and the child to sources of help. Head Start is a crusade of individuals and organizations with special skills and very special dedication, and we pay tribute to them for all they have done. Head Start tackles the problems at the most crucial age, when the difference for good or ill can be made, when the most can be done, when the investment in time and money bring the most telling results. Ideally, we would hope that Head Start could be applied for longer and to more children. That is why the President has proposed that the programs be extended to 3-year-olds and that there must be follow-through in the early grades of school. But if you can't do everything all at once, should you do nothing? I don't think Pancho would agree. Pancho, thank you for coming to the White House. You cast a bright light of promise for us all.
This has been a tremendous day for all of us interested in Head Start, not only to see the movie and to greet these people who made it possible, but to welcome to this room the man who made it possible, the President of the United States, who is now seeing this movie for the second time.
Really, You don't know how grateful I am to Sargent Shriver, not only for all the good that he's done for the world, for our country, and to Ms. Johnson for bringing me here, insisting I come this morning, but I'm especially thankful to all of you for having made something like this possible in our country. I see the senators and the congressmen who had faith and who blazed the trail and who worked through the years to get this program started, and who I believe are going to see that it continues. This is really not the second time I've seen this. As Sargent Shriver said, I've been seeing it for 30 years. I started out, I said to Mr. Shriver when I came in, Sarge, this is where I came in 30 years ago at Cotulla, Texas, in a Mexican-American school. I had my poncho in my arms then, and I took him home to Johnson City with me to spend the whole summer after the school was over. I didn't show quite the results that the doctor and the nurse and them did, but my mother and I showed some. His name was Juan Gonzalez, and now he's a successful businessman in San Antonio. So these things can be done if we just have the will to do them, and if we're generous enough to understand our brothers. And Pancho, you're a wonderful movie star, and I'm very proud of you. And I'm sure because of you, a lot of people in this world are going to live better. Thank you very much.
With Secretary John Gardner and 50 members of the press, we set out. In 1,500 miles, in places which seldom make headlines, we would see the numbers and statistics come to life. We would share America's adventure in learning. The map shows that Appalachia is 1,200 miles long and 250 miles wide, and some call it poor, but it should be measured not for its shortage of material goods, but in its wealth of promise for the nation. Our first stop, Charleston, West Virginia. Here we would see new federal funds in action. At the Glenwood Elementary School, a unique project brings students and parents together in the evening. We met the principal, Mrs. Violet Johnson.
Well, our program is a program that was built around involving the parents of the children of our school, that the children who had had problems of various kinds, both academically and socially.
Once a week, Glenwood's parents and children came for dinner at the school. Here they could meet and talk with the teachers and discover the real promise which school holds for their children. The principals and the teachers felt that if the programs were to be successful, the parents, as well as the children, had to feel success, feel they were wanted and needed, and had a part as partners with the school in the development of the children. After dinner, there was entertainment, singing or a play. And then children and parents divided into various classrooms. One of the objectives of the program was not really to teach skills, but to change attitudes. To help the children want to stay in school instead of dropping out. There were many different activities for the parents. From first aid classes to round-table discussions stressing the importance of training children in the home.
This has been a warm, wonderful, educational evening for me. Boys and girls, and mamas and daddies, and teachers. I'm so glad I got to share it. To see this talent and enthusiasm that you all have here tonight, it just means that lively things are happening in the Glenwood Elementary School. The best way to look into the future, I believe, is to look into a school. And all day long and this evening, I've been looking into the schools. And the feeling that I have is one of amazement and hope and greater confidence in the future that we are building through education.
The next day found us in the mountains of North Carolina. We were heading for Canada Township, a remote scattering of houses and families deep in the hills, where jobs are scarce and poverty is a way of life.
Well, been right here in Jackson County, me and my wife both over life, except the 3 years I was in service. I operate a chainsaw part-time, but I usually drive the horse all the time. Because this day and time, if you ain't got education, you're just about out.
We got off the main roads, back deep in the hills, beyond telephones, and even beyond electricity in some places. And I had the opportunity to visit with some of the people and see that indeed education is the only answer. The real heart of this little community is the Canada Township School, where the Teacher Corps, another new program, has brought hope and help to these mountain children. We talked with Mrs. Gertie Moss, the principal of the school.
Before we had NTC, we had realized our needs, and we had realized our opportunities too. But only having 4 teachers to work with, we were not able to do nearly as many things as we would like to do, and not able to go into those things as deeply as we would like to have gone into them. We had realized this need for some time, and then when the opportunity arose that we might get a National Teacher Corps, we thought just what it would mean to the parents, what it would mean to the children, and what it would mean to the teachers. We are fortunate in having men in our group. They bring new ideas to us, and naturally they can bring things into the school that the ladies aren't able to bring in as hard as they try. We have so many new materials that it's hard to evaluate the scope that they're going to be able to reach. Now, we knew about these materials, but we didn't have the money and we didn't have the time to use them. In getting the National Teacher Corps, along with our other government programs, we got just worlds of new materials. These men, recently from college, know how to operate all of this new equipment that we have, and we have what we think a very adequate program in audio-visual material because of having our National Teacher Corps. Well, I feel sure that if our National Teacher Corps were taken from us, it would retard us probably 4 or 5 years in our regular schoolwork. And then it would deprive the children of things that we couldn't possibly give them.
These children need special help because they are behind, and with the National Teacher Corps, they can be given individual help, taking each one where he is and leading on until he can keep up with the others in the county.
We've seen the Teacher Corps in action here in Canada Township. These volunteers have double the strength of the teaching staff. This means individual attention and opportunities they have never had before. Field trips, a science club, folk dancing, and sports. I think they'll be better citizens, better informed citizens, more in the current, in the stream of American life, because they've had the help of the teacher corps here. Canada shows in a special way the purpose and the promise which the teacher corps holds for the nation. Down the mountain from Canada Township, at Western Carolina College, we dedicated a new college library built by the state with federal help.
Thank you, sir. I'm very proud to be here and to be a part of this dedication ceremony. I've been in and out of thousands of college buildings in my lifetime all over this land. I've been at, I suppose, hundreds of dedications, but I'm never bored by it because there isn't anything I care about more deeply than the values that these institutions serve and symbolize. And there isn't anything that the American people care about more deeply. At the very heart of what we believe in as a people is a concern for the fulfillment of the individual, a concern that each individual have the opportunity to rise to his full stature and to be what he has it in him to be. When this nation began, a good many people would have said that the chief requirement to attain that goal was political freedom, freedom from an oppressive ruling class. Now we know that there are other and subtler tyrants than kings or dictators. Ignorance is such a tyrant. Poverty is another such tyrant. Racial discrimination is another. Physical incapacity or illness is another. Mental illness is still another. Today we're embarked on a great national effort, such as this country has never witnessed before. An effort to combat all of the conditions that blight human promise.
Mrs. Moore, Dr. Reed, friends, I wish every one of you out there could have had the wonderful morning that we did, seeing a broad spectrum of educational activities, seeing the Teachers Corps in action, seeing some of this beautiful North Carolina mountain country. And now, here we are, back on this campus where it's a great pleasure to dedicate one building and to applaud the appearance of several more. As we drove through it, it was yeasty with things happening, and I hear that you have gone from 600 to 3,600, is that right? In so few years. The great strength I've seen today is not just in the landscape. It is in the character of the men and women whom this college has touched. Teachers whose work has begun and flourished right in these mountain schools. I'm happy to be among you who are the teachers of tomorrow, for it will be you, above all, who will make the old miracle of education happen in a new way, on a bench with a book and a child. What will that miracle bring us? No one knew the answer better than a writer from these very hills, Thomas Wolfe. He wrote these words: "To every man his chance, to every man, regardless of his birth, his shining golden opportunity. To every man the right to live, to work, to be himself, and to become whatever thing his manhood and his vision can combine to make him. This is the promise of America."
Later, at night classes in adult education, we saw hundreds of citizens fulfilling that promise for themselves. We saw adults from 18 to 82 back in school. Why do they come? Because it can mean a better job, or a raise, or their children will be proud of them, or, most important, an increased sense of self-respect. The next day, we visited Columbia, Tennessee. There, the new 2-year Columbia State Community College touches citizens from all walks of life.
I've been out of high school now 11 years, and I've gone back and done fairly well. I've had a course in Introduction to Business, and I'm finishing my freshman year in English this quarter. I think education makes a person a better man.
I went down to Nicaragua with a group last summer to give immunizations, and we gave 318,000 immunizations in 3 weeks' time. I found I could not work effectively with my limited knowledge of Spanish, so I have been attending Columbia State Community College at night, taking Spanish and becoming more proficient in the language.
Columbia State Community College is a good example of the local people working with the state people, also with the federal officials, to provide higher education to our community. This land here, 204 acres, was purchased by the Murray County citizens, given to the state to establish a college. The state then took their state funds, matched it with federal funds to come up with construction money, and these buildings that you see back here are the result of this cooperative effort. The community college is a new concept in American higher education.
In Columbia, the president joined us to dedicate this brand new campus and to see firsthand one story of partnership between people and their government.
This story is being repeated all across the nation. New colleges like this one are being established at the rate of 1 a week. It is hard to realize that at the turn of the century, there were only 8 junior colleges in the United States, and only one of those a public institution. Today, by contrast, there are 680 two-year colleges in the nation, more than 400 of them publicly supported. We have turned our eyes to a new territory, richer than the wilderness of yesterday, the brightest promise of all, the promise of our people. When a Columbia Community College rises from a once empty field, this country expands, not outward, but upward.
So many times I've heard the president say, a school is the most important public building in America.
More Americans are receiving more education today than ever before in our history. About 3 out of every 10 Americans are now enrolled in our schools and our colleges. Twice as many young people are being graduated from our high schools, and twice as many are in college as there were only 10 years ago. This is not only because of our rising population, but it's because America in the 1960s has made a historic commitment, and that commitment is first to education. It's not hard for me to talk at length about education and what it means, for it meant everything to me at a time when my future hung in the balance. I hope some way, somehow, someday, I can repay the debt that I owe in the time that is allotted me, and I shall try.
From Head Start to higher education, all over America, exciting, vital things are happening in education. This was our chance to see it, our adventure in learning.
We want every American boy and girl to have all the education that he or she can take. We want this so that each child may become all he is capable of becoming. Nothing more, nothing less.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.